Hi, my name is June Teisan, and I teach science to 7th graders in the Detroit area of Michigan, the United States. And I think what I want to offer up as far as talking about STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and math, they've become sort of a buzzword, but at the same time, there's a reason why they've come to attention. And that's because they've been long neglected, I think, with the push in the United States in particular for testing in language arts and in math. But what I'm interested in doing is taking STEM outside of the classroom. I found a lot of power in place-based learning, what we used to call field trips, but I don't call them field trips because field trips to me are like, by the time you get the permission slip and the lunch money and the bus arranged, you're exhausted and the kids just show up at the place and they just go crazy. So I found that place-based education means we prepare them well before we leave the building. So when I take my kids to the shorelines, or I take them to wetlands, or if I take them to a science museum, or even an art museum, so I could turn STEM into STEAM by putting the arts into it, they are prepared. They have a background, they are ready to learn, and then they're more excited about what they're walking into instead of just a day away from school. So I found that place-based learning has been a very important part of what I've been doing.
So if you had one piece of advice to give to either a teacher or a future teacher, what would that be?
I truly believe that you need to think boundlessly and limitlessly about your classroom. For too long, I let the walls rule what I did. I live in the Great Lakes state, and I would try to bring the lakes to my students. And so I decided that enough was enough. I need to get my kids out, and I wasn't going to have budgets be the limiting factor. So I've written thousands of dollars worth of grants. There are a lot of grant monies available for teachers who are willing to take the time to craft a grant application, pull in stakeholder organizations, because that's where the learning is going to take place. It's not out of a book. It's actually on the shorelines and in the marshes where the kids have experience learning, and it motivates them. And we bring the technology right there with us, whether it's data monitoring devices specifically for using in the wetland areas, or whether it's your digital camera recording what's happening. So my advice to anybody in the teaching profession that has sort of transformed what I've done is to think outside of the classroom and get yourself out of there, get your kids going and moving, and you'll be amazed at the amount of energy level that occurs.
If you could change one thing about the education system, either in your state or in the entire country, what would it be?
I would, of course, the first thing I would want to do is free us from the fill-in-the-bubble world that we live in, no child left untested. I want no child left indoors. I want to have the kids get outside, because too many of them, it's easy to hand your child a little device and then go cook dinner and go do this and go do that, and it's hard for a busy family to get your children, some people can't afford to get their children out into enriching opportunities. And so if we were to be freed up again so that teachers who are masters at what they're doing could be trusted to say, let's take the child from A to B to C, and let's foster that creativity and foster that innovation side, instead of how completely you fill in a dark circle and summarize your learning in one little sentence. That's what I would do to help transform learning, is to eliminate the one, and all the money that goes into that testing stuff could go into putting kids into authentic learning situations. That's my hope. Fingers crossed.
Perfect.